The Tale of Prince Takayo and the Human Statue in the Middle of the Field. Once upon a time, there was a man called Prince Takayo. He was the son of Emperor Sextak I. He was renowned as an exceptional craftsman with unmatched skill in creating things. There was a temple known as Kyogo-kudera, which was built by this very prince. The field in front of the temple, located along the riverbank, belonged to this temple. In a year when the entire country was suffering from a severe drought, people cried out, "Fields everywhere have burned and withered away." Particularly the fields near the temple, which were irrigated with water from the Kamo River, had become completely dry when the river itself ran dry. The fields had turned barren, and it seemed as if they would all turn red and perish. However, Prince Takayo came up with a clever idea. He crafted a statue of a young boy about 4 feet tall, holding a vessel in each hand, and placed it in the middle of the field. The design of the statue was such that when people poured water into the vessels the boy held, the water would overflow and trickle down the boy's face. Seeing this, people were amused and entertained, so they fetched water and eagerly poured it into the vessels, enjoying the sight of the water flowing over the boy's face. As this continued, more and more people gathered, turning it into an event, and they kept pouring water into the vessels. Soon enough, the field naturally became full of water, replenishing itself. At that point, the statue of the boy was removed and hidden. When the water dried up again, the statue was returned to the field. Once again, people gathered, pouring water into the vessels until the field was full of water once more. In this way, the field did not burn or wither. This was an extraordinary creation. The prince's craftsmanship was truly remarkable, and his refined sense of artistry was praised by all. Thus, the story has been passed down. The Tale of the Robe at the Banquet of the Minister of Ono-no-Miya and the Minister of Kujō. Third story. Once upon a time, the Minister of Ono-no-Miya I hosted a grand banquet, and the Minister of Kujō, a man of great prestige, attended the event. During the banquet, the Minister of Kujō received a gift, a finely crafted crimson robe, part of a lady's attire. However, one of the heedless attendants, without thought, grabbed it and threw it into the garden stream. Confused and embarrassed by what had happened, the attendant hurriedly retrieved the robe and shook it out. Remarkably, as he shook it, the water quickly evaporated and dried. Even more astonishing, the sleeve that had been soaked showed no signs of wetness from the water. When compared to the sleeve that had remained dry, they both appeared exactly the same, showing no differences whatsoever. Those who saw this marveled at the craftsmanship of the robe, praising its exceptional quality. In the past, finely made robes were indeed like this. Such craftsmanship is exceedingly rare in today's world, thus, the story has been passed down. The Tale of the Agile Calm and the Needle-Twirling Woman. Once upon a time, during the reign of Emperor Sextak I, there was a palace servant at the Right Guards named Haruchika from the family of Shek Shek. He was renowned for his exceptional skill in kicking the Kamari ball. One day, Haruchika stood leaning over the well in the rear district and noticed a group of young women gathered there. Wanting to impress them, he took out a comb from its sheath, balanced it on the tip of his fingernail, and then extended his hand over the well, flipping the comb back and forth about 40 or 50 times. People began to gather, watching in awe and excitement at his remarkable display. Among the crowd, there was an old woman who approached. Observing his skill, she commented, "What an entertaining performance you give, sir. Never in the past has anyone done such a thing. Come now, allow me to show you something in return." With that, she pulled a needle from the sleeve of her robe, attached a thread to it, and, balancing it on her fingernail, twirled it back and forth 40 or 50 times, just as Haruchika had done with his comb. The people who witnessed this were astonished. Seeing this, Haruchika, rather impressed, took his comb again and prepared to outdo her. This was truly a rare and remarkable occurrence. In ancient times, even without grand monuments, there were indeed people who performed such extraordinary feats. Thus, the story has been passed down. The Tale of Kawasei of Baekje and the Craft of the Hida Carpenter. Fifth story. Once upon a time, there was a painter named Kawasei of Baekje I. He was unparalleled in his craft. The stonework of the Taki Palace was crafted by this Kawasei. The paintings on the walls of the same hall were also his work. At one point, Kawasei's young servant ran away. He searched everywhere, but could not find him. So he hired a servant from a noble family and said, "My servant, whom I have had for many years, has run away. Find him and bring him back." The servant replied, "It should be simple, but without knowing the boy's face, how can I catch him?" Kawasei acknowledged this, saying, "Indeed, that is true." He then took out a piece of paper, drew the servant's face with precision, and handed it to the servant. "You should look for a boy who resembles this picture. The markets, where many people gather, are good places to look." The servant took the drawing and went to the marketplace. Despite the large crowds, there was no boy resembling the picture. After a while, he saw a boy who looked just like the drawing. He compared the drawing with the boy, and not a single feature was different. "This must be him," he thought, and captured the boy, bringing him to Kawasei. Kawasei was overjoyed upon seeing the boy. People who heard of this praised Kawasei's remarkable skill. Around this time, there was a carpenter from Hida too, who was active during the relocation of the capital. He was also without equal in his field. The magnificent Butsugakuden temple was built by this Hida carpenter. It so happened that the carpenter and Kawasei began to challenge each other's skills. The Hida carpenter said to Kawasei, "I have built a small hall at my house, a structure of 4 pillars. Please come and see it. I was thinking you could paint the walls for me as well." Though they spoke in jest, they enjoyed their banter, and eventually, Kawasei decided to visit the carpenter's house. When he arrived, he saw a charming small hall with 4 walls, each with a door wide open. The Hida carpenter invited him inside, saying, "Please take a look within." Kawasei climbed onto the veranda and tried to enter through the southern door, but just as he reached it, the door shut tight. Startled, he walked to the western door, but as soon as he reached it, that door too closed. Then the southern door reopened. Kawasei went to the northern door, but that one shut as well. Meanwhile, the western door opened again. He went round and round, trying to enter, but each time the doors played tricks on him, opening and closing in turn, and he could not enter. Exhausted and frustrated, he finally descended from the veranda. The Hida carpenter laughed heartily, finding great amusement in his friend's predicament. Kawasei, on the other hand, felt deep envy and left in frustration. After some time had passed, Kawasei sent a message to the Hida carpenter inviting him over. "Come visit my home. I have something I wish to show you." The Hida carpenter suspected a trick, thinking he must be trying to outwit me, and initially refused. However, after repeated polite invitations, the carpenter decided to visit Kawasei's house. When he arrived and announced his visit, Kawasei said, "Please come in." As the carpenter entered, he opened a sliding door that led to a room where a large, swollen, blackened corpse lay. The stench was unbearable. The unexpected sight and smell of the decaying body startled him, and in his shock, he cried out and quickly retreated. Inside, Kawasei heard the commotion and laughed heartily. The Hida carpenter, standing in fear, thought, "This is terrifying." At that moment, Kawasei peeked out from the sliding door and said, "What's the matter? Come closer." The carpenter cautiously approached and upon closer inspection realized that what he had thought was a corpse was merely a painting on a screen, a work by Kawasei. It was a revenge trick, born from Kawasei's envy of the carpenter's earlier prank at the hall. Thus, these two masters of their respective crafts played tricks on each other. This tale spread far and wide, and people praised it for its wit. Thus, the story has been passed down. Title: The Go Player and the Girl of the Mysterious House. Once upon a time, during the reign of Emperor Daigo in the 60s of the Engi era, there were 2 monks known for their exceptional skill in the game of Go, Gosei and Kanren. Kanren was not only of noble descent, but also held the position of a court priest in the Uda-in. As a result, he was frequently summoned to play Go with the emperor, who was also an expert. However, Kanren would always win the first 2 games. During their frequent matches, the emperor played with a golden pillow as a prize. When the emperor lost, Kanren would receive the pillow and leave, but young courtiers would often seize the opportunity to snatch the pillow from him. This situation happened repeatedly. One time, after Kanren had again received the golden pillow and was leaving, young courtiers chased him to take it. Kanren, sensing the situation, took the pillow from his sleeve and threw it into a well in the town. The courtiers left, and Kanran danced as he exited. Later, when the well was inspected, it was found that the pillow was made of wood with a thin layer of gold on it. The real golden pillow had already been taken away, and this was a mere imitation. The real pillow had been discarded, and the one Kanran threw into the well was actually made of wood. Consequently, a temple named Mirokuji was built in the eastern part of Ninigi using the broken pieces of the pillow. The emperor, upon hearing this, praised it highly. As Kanran regularly visited the temple one day as he was going from Ichijo to Ninigi, he encountered a girl in pure clothes standing near the western Daigyu. The girl, calling out to him, said, "A girl here wants to speak with you. Please come and listen to what she has to say." Kanran, curious about who could be speaking to him, sent his carriage towards the girl. They arrived at a small house with a wooden fence. The girl led him inside. Inside, there was a simple but well-kept room with a go board set up and a container of go stones placed neatly beside it. The girl requested Kanran to play go with her. The girl explained, "I've heard that you are unparalleled in your skill at Go. I wish to see how you play, and since I was once taught by someone who was skilled, I would like to learn from you as well." Kanran approached the Go board, and as the girl demonstrated how she played, Kanran observed and played accordingly. Despite his best efforts, Kanran found himself completely outplayed, realizing that the girl was exceptionally skilled. In the end, Kanran, bewildered by the girl's extraordinary skill, fled in fear. Upon returning to Ninigi and reporting the incident, it was found that the house was empty, with only a single hermit-like woman present. The monks, upon investigating, learned that the people who had stayed in that house had left the previous night. The whereabouts of these individuals remained unknown, and the strange event was considered highly unusual. Thus, the story has been passed down.